You're getting ready for another episode of What's in the Box. Check it out. How you doing? I'm your host, Andy Pliska. Today, we're going to take a look at the T12 Roadster. It's an amazing ride. I love it. I ride it all over town. So let's take a look at putting this awesome machine together. You're going to love it. Here's all the parts that make up our T12 Roadster. Let's take a quick look at what we have. We've got the rear tail kicks with matching bolts. This will be for mounting the rear tail kick and the front fender to the fork assembly. Here we have the wheel assembly with the rotors mounted to the rear and our single front wheel. The frame assembly is in the folded lack position once you pull it out of the box. The calipers are preset from the factory, and the rear axle is located in the rear trailing fork. You'll notice that the 2011 Roadster is equipped with a steering stopper. You'll also find the registration, brake handout, and owner's manual with the tool set to get you started. All right, here's the bolts that you should receive in your kit. These are going to be for the front fork. These are going to mount rear tail kick in the rear, and then these four will go on the underneath side of the tail. All right, first things first, let's mount this fender on the front fork here. It's just going to go on the outside. I'm going to take my little rounded head bolt, drop it in there. Next one in. Make sure you don't cross thread them when you're putting them in too. If they feel like that they're sticking on you, back them out. Now, I'm not going to tighten these down until I get this other side on. Make it nice and simple for me. I want to make sure all my bolts are in place before I lock anything down. If you want to, you can put a little bit of Loctite on the inside of these to make sure that they stay. You can see it's pretty much out of the way. Next thing I'm going to do is remove the axle. You can see I'm using two tri-tools here. It makes life a little bit easier for me. Now, this wheel has a drive indicator. You can see there's an arrow right here. The fender's this way, the fork, this is the rotation we want. We want the wheel moving in this direction. Axle out, put the washer in there, slide the wheel on. Now I'm having a little bit of resistance here, so I'll take a long tool, take it on the other end, fish the center spacer so that I can wiggle it through, and you can see it coming right through. Slide it over, take my other spacer and slide it in, and bolt it on. Make sure the bolt goes on nice and easy. Don't work too hard. If you're having trouble getting the spacer in, just loosen one of these two bolts here. It'll open up the fork here, and this whole section will open up. Grab yourself two tools. Remember, we're dealing with a 5mm. And go ahead and tighten it all the way up. I like working with these tri-tools, they're great. Check the wheel, looks good. Pull the pin straight back and twist. You'll notice that I rotated into a little L right here that's the unlock position. I'm going to do the same to the other side, and then I can open the frame up. Once I've come up a little bit, I can re-engage. I'm riding on the back side of this cam until I hear it click in. All right, so let's get the handlebars off the trailing arm. 1, 2, 3, 4 zip ties. Pull it out of the way and remove the packaging over the gooseneck and the brake lever and grip. Once the packaging is off, you'll notice that the brake levers here have this little pin. This is the locking braking system. So when I pull the brake in, I can actually lock the wheels in place. It'll keep the trike from moving around. Nice little feature. So I'm getting ready to mount the handlebars. You'll notice that there are two grooves here, and then the pins are lined up along the back. And then I have the brake cables coming straight back. And the cross is over, as you can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just lift the handlebars and mount them right to the top of the stem post. Make sure the cables go over the top. Drop them right on top of the stem post. So once I have them sitting on top of the stem post, I'll give it a little push down. Maybe I won't. Wiggle it on there. And what I want to do is I want to leave about 1/8 of an inch gap from the top of here to the base. Line this right about in line with these bolts, or where the push pin guide is. Keep them in line and snug it up. Not looking to drive it home just yet. Just have it for ready when we make our final adjustment. All right, to mount our tail kicks, we're going to put two bolts in here. They're going to go through these holes, and then the nuts will go on underneath, and then these will thread right underneath on the base here. You can see that I have some Loctite here. I like to use a little Loctite on this. Just a little added measure of security, just make sure my bolts don't back off. So I'm going to take my fender and pull it out, and there is a right and left, so you want to make sure that your red reflector is facing on the outside. You'll notice that there isn't one on the inside. Take my fender, lay it over, fit it into place. Take my 2 bolts, so I'll take a little bit of Loctite, not a lot. So once you put the bolts on the top here, take your nut on the bottom here and screw them in. Just to lightly secure that so that we can now work on getting these other 2 bolts in. Alright, I'm going to put a little bit of Loctite on my bolt, position it, go ahead and slide that in. So now I have all my bolts on. I have 2 on the forestay, 2 on the rear, and now I can go ahead and lock everything down. Don't have to drive them all around, it's just plastic. Now I'll flip it over, tighten these 2 down. Alright, I've secured my 2 bolts on the underneath here, so I'm just going to go ahead and lock these down. Quick snug, and that tail kick is on there, nice and tight. And finish the other one, you're good to go on the tail kicks. Alright, so now we're going to put the fork on, make sure that the hole here lines up with the pin, slide it on, and again, if I'm having trouble getting it on, just loosen up these 2 bolts. Slide it on, and watch the pin pop through. Now I need to tighten down these 2 bolts to make sure that it's secure. There you go, looks good. Alright, so now we're ready to mount the rear wheel. One thing you want to pay attention to, that one of the wheels is marked with an R on it. You want to make sure that you put the R on the right hand side. The other one is not, and the reason for that is that at the factory that this one has been pre-designed to fit on the right hand brake caliper. The brake caliper is pre-adjusted. Alright, so let's go ahead and remove our axle. This is a 5mm. Now, to make life easier, when I go to put this axle on, I prefer to take the axle and put it on the same size as the caliper. And here's the reason. I want to slide this rotor right into this groove. And again, I'm going to use the right one because I'm working on the right trailing arm. And I'm going to drop it in there, fit that caliper into place. Now I'm butting up currently up against the washer, the spacer that's on the inside of here. So again, I'm going to take a long tool and slide it in from the other end. And then at the same time, work the axle through until it starts to slide through. There you go. Once I come out, situate that right to the edge, remove my guide tool, take my other spacer, and drop it into place. There you go. Again with the Loctite, I'll just take a little dab. You can see that it's already got some red compound on there, but I'm just going to add a little bit for security. And the wheel should flow easily if the brake is just properly. I'm going to make another move on the other side, and we're going to be done. Alright, so the last thing I want to do is pressure up the tires, 75 to 80 pounds, and go a little bit higher, but I recommend 75 to 80 pounds. Alright, so we're going to make some fine-tune adjustments. These handlebars are perched back too far. We want to be past perpendicular with the earth. So I'm going to bring these forks forward a little bit. You're going to use your 6. When you tighten this cap back up, make sure that you have an even amount of space here and here. And then I'm just going to rotate them forward. I like to get the triangle just right in front of these 2 bolts right here. So I want to check the alignment here. I can see that my steering column is going in one direction, my wheel's going in another. So I'm going to loosen these 2 bolts, change the alignment, and straighten things out. Looks a little better. Alright. Raising and lowering the steering column is easy. Loosening the quick release, push the button, locate a new position, and lock it down. To open and close the Roadster, reach forward, push slightly forward on the steering column, pull the pin straight back, pull it right into this L. Again, push the column slightly forward, twist, and now the column can come down. At this point, I can re-engage the push pin, slide it forward, and it will lock into position. So thanks for joining us today on What's in the Box. Real simple to put together, a lot of fun, and as soon as you get yours out of the box, you should have no problems putting this thing together. Again, if you have any questions, send us an email at ride@southbaytrike.com. We'll help you out. With the Roadster, you can't go wrong. Disc brakes, nothing's better. you're looking for high performance, fast, maneuverable, something for the long ride, T12 Roadster is your ride. Thanks for checking us out today. We'll see you next time around.